talking with Chris, he, him. Sounds like you've got a strategy for handling the 10 Commandments in the classroom. Well, hey, you are chatting with SR and Cross Examiner. What you got for us, Chris?
Hey, Chris.
Well, hey guys. I've kind of debated where I can come at this, what angle I can come at this. Do I pretend to be a Christian fundamentalist and try to get Exodus 21 right next to Exodus 20, which is the 10 Commandments, and don't underline the slave parts, kind of let the kids,
right, figure it out.
Or because the bill, I guess, allows for administrators and teachers to choose whether they want to hang things up or not. So it's not like they're forcing the 10 Commandments, but
which state is this in?
And
This is in Kentucky?
Yeah, so it just passed Bill 116 in the House. So
I didn't realize it had passed. All right, thank you.
Yeah, Tennessee, we do force the schools to hang the 10 Commandments, but I don't think it is classroom by classroom requirement. I think it is school requirement. That the school itself, every individual public school must have somewhere prominently displayed the 10 Commandments. But at least that's better in Kentucky, that they're giving a little bit of deference to the teachers. It's still a violation of church and state, though, right?
For sure. I mean, if you could get Exodus 20, I'm sure they know about it next to it.
Or Song of Solomon, right? Like either one of them would be really good.
Right. So it's I guess in Kentucky.
So just to clarify for our listeners, the Kentucky bill was just introduced January 29th, as far as I see. I don't see that it's passed and been signed into law, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, my Google must have messed up. I Googled whether it passed, so
that's okay. It's nothing wrong with being aware of the stuff.
No, the fact that they're trying it is more, indications that they've gotten the green light from recent Supreme Court opinions. So your call is right on point. So what strategy did you land on?
Well, so I'm working with Lexington Atheist Agnostic too. I just want to give a shout out to them. I'm talking with them, maybe something we could do. So Exodus 20 is the 10 Commandments, and then the very next page, it talks about how you can beat your slave not to death. That's the very next page. So I figure maybe we could I could come at it maybe as a Christian fundamentalist and try to make up some wishy-washy thing as to why the next page is important. It needs to hang next to it. Or I could be more aggressive and let them know my stance as an atheist, but
I think
wouldn't work out.
Right. So there is a variety of different ways to handle this. And I will, of course, shout out the Satanic Temple. They often do a phenomenal job because they are legally recognized as a religion, and there are branches of TST all over the country. There are a bunch of active people. The Americans United for the Separation of Church and State, of course, is a fantastic organization. We are lucky enough here in Nashville that we have a small chapter that is very active and focused on stuff. You can also join with, and I know there might be some people out there that are going to they're going to feel a little skin crawly here, but just hear me out. There are a lot of secular organizations that do have a religious bent that absolutely despise this erosion of the separation of church and state just as much as we do as atheists, just as much as we do here at the ACA. Their mission is in line, and a broader coalition is going to be even more fucking powerful when you can bring people of all faiths and none together and really push back. I'll just shout out, there's a couple of other cool organizations up in that area. The Tri-State Free Thinkers, I know some of those folks, and the Kentucky Free Thought Conference. I also have heard rumors, and I don't know if I can totally say this yet, but I've heard rumors the Ark Encounter protest might be coming back, y'all. So I just there is some people in Kentucky, Chris, that you can definitely get connected with. And then also I'll just say, you know, man, I'm down here in Nashville, and there's a good bunch of us now, and we're working on some shit this year. So definitely stay connected with people. I know the Discord, the ACD has a shit ton of people that are always invested in this stuff and interested and trying to get out and get active and letting people know. So please don't be doing this alone. Know that you've actually got a pretty big squad around you, even though, you know, you're down in the South here too. So let me throw it over to Cross Examiner real quick, and then we'll let you go. Okay.
No, I agree. These bills are a symptom of a broken, well, not broken. Before the latest iteration of this court, these bills were publicity stunts. The idea would be that I introduce a bill that I know is unconstitutional, blatantly unconstitutional, and I do it so that I can run later by saying, I introduced a bill to put prayer back in schools, and these crazy atheist activist judges made me stop. That's why they do this. Now, ever since the court's recent decisions overturning some of our case law on how First Amendment cases get decided, you've seen state after state after state start introducing these, not just as publicity stunts, but as real efforts to cram a certain version of Christianity down people's throats. And that's one thing I always want to touch on is there's multiple versions of the 10 Commandments. When you look at the Louisiana bill, they did a very generic 11 commandments. If you count the commandments in the Louisiana 10 Commandments bill, there are 11, because if you look at a Catholic Bible versus a Protestant Bible versus other Bibles, they pick and choose as to what they included in there. And most of the time, this falls apart when they have to choose which 10 commandments do we want. Historically, Louisiana tried to create the Bible as the official state book. I forget how long ago, a decade or so. That effort fell apart when the Catholics were like, okay, so it's the Catholic Bible. And everybody else says, no, it's the NIV or it's the King James. And nobody could agree, which is absolutely hilarious and telling to anybody who is not a believer. Like, you can't even get your book straight. So I just did, while you were talking to SR, some research. We've got House Bill 65 in Kentucky and House Bill 116. They're two different bills. They were introduced earlier this year on February 4th. They both were moved to committee, the Committee for Primary and Secondary Education. So they are in committee currently in Kentucky. Freedom from Religion Foundation, ACLU, Americans for the Separation of the United Church and State, United States Church and State in the United States. Those are all good organizations. And I will second, I got a lot to say. Sorry, I'm going quickly here. SR's point that there are many, many, many Christian organizations who are against this as well. When these bills were introduced in Texas, there was a preachers organization there, excuse me, who rose up and testified against this, along with the other bills in Texas that were, let's hire pastors as counselors and let's have a mandatory school prayer. And he made the same point that Thomas Jefferson did when he was arguing against the religious teachers, but what I talked about at the beginning of the show with SR. And Jefferson's point was, a Christian may not agree with all of the teachings that the state sends his tax money to. The state may hire a Christian to do this and give them tax money to have them teach their kids, but maybe I disagree with theologically with that preacher, with that school, with that church. So yes, if you're a good thinking Christian person who cares about the point of the Jesus story, you should be against this, because it's going to force governments to pick a standard official version of Christianity just by picking which 10 commandments or which Bible's in the classroom. And that for other Christians should make everybody very nervous, not to mention the rest of us who are not Christian. So those are my feedback.
And just for all the people out there that want to always be telling us non-believers to read our fucking Bibles, you might want to read your Bible on that. Something about rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's and shit, keeping the government and the religion separate. But hey, Chris.
Well, also Jesus had no kingdom on earth either.
That's a good one too. That's another good. Yeah. They seem to forget that and the whole, blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek thing.
It's easier for a what is it, a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to go to heaven, but they really forget that one.
Yeah, boy, do they. But hey, Chris, stay in touch with us.
Keep us informed.
Man. Yeah, let us know how this is going. And hey, I don't know if you ever make it down to Middle Tennessee, man, hit us up. So thank you so much. And it was well, Tennessee is kind of rough, but